Why do we have? So
okay. So yeah. Well,
why are you obsessed with the pretzels again?
Huh? The pretzels?
I wish you'd gotten the kind that Zachy liked, but I think they have to be. I think they have to be in the weird mix because I think he likes the combination of the weird little toast things, and then they have to. You look like a petulant emu eating those. You know that, right?
That's 2. Okay.
You look like a petulant emu. Why are you eating like? Actually, never mind the emu.
Wait. This is 3. Oh, hi. Welcome to the Todd and Erin show. Okay.
I don't know what he's doing either.
This is 4. What's this? Okay.
That's a very rodent-esque kind of consumption. What are you doing?
This is a lesson of friggin' Florida, okay? This is how you count. When you're trying to count votes, here's another one, and you mark it off, and the rest of the human race, we have a computer that does this.
Wasn't Florida the one that got us in trouble with the whole dangling Chad issue?
Twice.
Yeah.
Twice. And so evidently they...
I am sure there's people in Florida that know how to count. We have many intelligent friends there.
The picture is 4 people sitting around a table with 165,000 votes to count. So anyway, I digress. I want to tell you, we went to a movie. We went to a movie. We took the kids to a movie, which we usually do during the weekend.
There's not that many new ones out for kids for the last few months,
okay.
So
this
don't have a lot of choice.
Stop me if you've heard this, okay? So there's this green guy, and he lives with a dog on a hill. And on the hill, he looks down upon this town, and who are they?
Really?
They're these shorter people. And so what happens is, something happened bad to the green guy at one point, and he hated the holidays. So what he did is, he decided he'd go down and he'd steal all of their holiday gear.
Honey.
And then he took it back up, and then all of a sudden, wahoo, more,
baby, I think everybody knows the Grinch.
That was his name. And they sing this song, and his heart grows, and then he takes all the stuff back. Spoiler alert, sorry. Sorry, I should have done that.
You know the weird thing? I don't even understand why they remade it. It's a commercial. It's
no, I just saw
cartoon.
saw a commercial.
Well,
they just used it in a commercial for like AT&T.
It's animated, but you can tell it's specifically done just seriously for commercialization because every store is like glutted with Grinch crap right now, and it's not going to do that well. But it's
and there's no
and there was nobody in the audience with us, and it was like Friday night. We're like, this isn't, and he was all soft and sort of.
And there's no.
I'm hurt.
There's no Seuss language.
There was no
bongles and bingles and jingles and longers.
No genuine pleasure in his evil, which is of course the most attractive and entertaining part of the Grinch. But it was like, why did you remake this?
So I
and like this, there was nothing.
I give it 4. One of those.
But you know what? But I think it's all for the merchandising. But it was really weird. It was like, well, okay, thank you. There was no actual reason for this.
It's like the really vanilla version of anyway.
Yeah.
I discovered something pretty cool. Like your 4-year-old was
scared of the other one, or yeah.
And when I finally came back and I was covered with pine sap, Erin's like, "What were you doing?" We'll take a look. Here I am in the Salt Lake City Cemetery, among some very large trees that have been dropped because of disease and beetles, and they are dropping these trees now among all the beautiful tombstones leading back to 17 something or other. And this tree behind me is 107 years old. And I thought to myself, having studied forestry and knowing these things kind of act like centuries, right? Looking over, experiencing what the world has gone through. And if you look right here, that is when the tree was born. First of all, I have my smart glasses on because we're doing history. If I'm off by a year or two, stop. I don't want to hear about it, okay? Here is the beginning of the tree. This is when it was planted. It sprouted at this point, which is 1917. Puerto Rico was just brought in to be part of the United States, though they don't care about them and they can't vote and we don't rescue them during hurricanes. That being said, we're going to move on now to the 1920s, and that would be up in this area, and the Great Depression happened. Also, Prohibition, which made Al Capone like a king because of the bootlegging. Women's voting, very important. In 1927, that would be right about here, Charles Lindbergh flew the Atlantic for the very first time. The Jazz Singer, actually right there, was the first full-length movie with sound. All right, Wall Street, the Wall Street crash. Let's see, 10, 20, 30. Right there was the crash of Wall Street in 1921. Also 1930, 10, 20, 30, 31, Empire State Building was opened to the public for the very first time. 21st, 23rd, right here, the amendment was changed for the Constitution, and prohibition was flushed down the toilet. And the beer wasn't, for a change. Okay? The New Deal came in, let's see, 1 to 33. So right there, the New Deal came in, and this was to help out all the different people, help farmers get credit, help people buy houses. The CCC was created. That was a Civilian Conservation Corps. They were employing the people of America to do upgrades on all different kinds of structures and stuff. And I just remember them planting them because we'd be in the middle of the woods and we'd walk up and there would be this huge stand of red pine in the middle of nowhere. And that was because of the CCC, but they kept people working, they kept them being paid, and that's what they did. Following that, 1934, the 30s sucked. They really did, because here comes the Dust Bowl. And this is because of a drought, high temperatures, and mismanagement of soil and the farmers. And that's when that happened, 1934. 1937, Golden Gate Bridge, 37 right there. The Golden Gate Bridge opened up. And that saved people a lot of traveling time. Also, let's see, 1939, right here. World War II begins. Right there. And this tree was standing here the whole time. The next 5 years was just war, battle, 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 one after another. To brighten things up, so World War II started here. Right here, Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny made his first appearance. Pearl Harbor, 1941, brings us 10, 20, 30, 40, right there, Pearl Harbor, which is just sad. I mean, but this tree was here for it. I mean, I think that's a thing for me, is the fact that this tree saw all these things. It existed during all these different things we've been looking at. Here's another sad one, 1942. And that's when the Japanese-American internment camp started. And they started right here as well in Utah, in Delta. And they started, and we know a woman, dear woman, her name is Ray, and she and her family were actually put into one of the camps. And they went from owning a business, owning a house, tending a garden, to the middle of nowhere in barracks because they were Japanese American. Let's see, Constitution term limits. That was in 1945. That's right here. That means Hatch at this time was already 65 because he's been, yeah. Okay, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. 1955, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a bus, which started basically the civil rights movement. Following that, they also came up with the Civil Rights Act, started in 1960, which was right here, which basically said you can't screw with people at the polls. You can't keep people from going and voting. You cannot intimidate them. You cannot make rules up. Why does this sound so familiar, right? So they cannot do that. So this was going on during the Rosa Parks civil rights movement, and it began in 1955. The space race is on. Sputnik, the very first satellite launched by the Russians, that started the whole thing. And next thing you know, we're all Space Force people fighting in space. Martin Luther King, very sad, 1963, right here. JFK was assassinated. In that same year, Martin Luther King was assassinated. In 1977, let's go through it, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 1973, and I know I'm jumping ahead really fast. Elvis passes away. So Elvis passes away. Let's see, we boycotted the Olympics. That was kind of a big deal because you had all these athletes who've been training for 16, 17, 18 years, and suddenly saying, hey, you missed your prime, you're not going to the Olympics. Challenger disaster right there. And that was a big moment. Probably can notice, I'm not sure if you can see this, but the bands are getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And this represents the weather along the Wasatch Front. If you can see down here, this is a growth ring right here, from here to here. And then you follow it up like here, and you can see how tiny they are. And that's because of drought. So where we have a 7-year drought, maybe a 9-year drought. But this is just tough times for these trees. Might also be one of the reasons why they're taking them down, because they got beetles. They got infested by different bugs that are killing them, and they don't want it to affect other different trees. Let's see, so 1986, the Challenger, 90, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. A Valdez oil spill from Exxon. Do you remember it? And what a big deal it was. And can you picture all the animals being grabbed up and taken care of and washed off, and people going along and sopping up the oil on the beachfront with rags? That was a huge event. Let's see, 1995. It's right here. Operation Desert Storm. We have a lot of people in Utah in the military. I think we remember that pretty well. In 1996 or 95, which would be right here, the Oklahoma City bombing. It's a bad time in this area. And of course here, right here, you and I and the rest of the world were preparing for Y2K. 2000. Because the world was going to end. People were wrapping their computers up in tin foil because they thought the world was going to come to an end. They thought, oh, Xbox is over. All these different things are over. Now, I got to tell you, I'm going to stop at 2000 because hopefully you remember what happened in the last 18 years. Hopefully. I'm sorry if I missed your birthday, but I saw this tree and I thought to myself, this tree's been around for a long time, and that's 100 years. And now it's coming down, and for a good reason, and it's making way for newer trees that they're going to plant, and hopefully they'll be around for another 100 years. But right from there, all the way to there, I just think it's cool.
The Todd and Erin Daily Stream is brought to you by PC Laptops, with desktops and laptops starting as low as $7.99 with a lifetime parts and service warranty. They fix phones too. Go to PCLaptops.com. And by Brio Technologies. They rent, sell, and install audiovisual components, including professional sound, lighting, video, and intercom systems, components, projectors, interactive whiteboards, and classroom audio systems. Just go to BrioAudiovisual.com.
Well, I hope you observed Veterans Day this weekend. It was actually, what, Sunday?
It was Sunday, but a lot of people are celebrating today, which I think is cool.
It is.
You know, it's interesting. My mother's father actually died from a torpedo hit in World War I above his warship.
Okay.
And my two grandfathers actually both died in World War II. One of them, my grandpa Parsons, was the most stubborn man you could ever begin to imagine. He was captured. And do you remember the horrible March to Bataan?
Right.
Where so many American prisoners died? He survived the entire march. He escaped from the prison encampment, made himself a boat, paddled across the bay to get away, and was captured again.
And?
Survived the march again, and then he died in the prison camp. But it was just the concept of how stubborn he was, that he was so unwilling to accede to their demands. And I'm like, Grandpa, I'm so proud of you.
It's amazing because you lost three, right?
Yeah.
My grandfather, World War I, survived. Artillery, Ardennes. My father survived. South Pacific aircraft carrier, kamikaze hits too. He was a medic. It's probably changed him for life.
He was 18 years old, and he was helping sew the...
And he was sewing people into their hammocks and burying them at sea. So I think that I want you to read this list, but I I have a feeling about it. Would you go ahead and talk about some of the free things that veterans can get?
I like it because I don't know if it really has not been much like this until maybe the last 10 years or so before, and I bet there were a lot of small town cafes who said, hey George, or who knew each other, please come and let us honor you with a meal today.
Yeah.
And it's gotten bigger and bigger. A lot of times it's beautiful and sincere, and sometimes you're like,
well, it's sporting events and stuff. They ask the vets to stand.
As it should be. Applebee's is offering a free meal today. Chili's, Cracker Barrel, Denny's, Famous Dave's, a 2-meat salute. That's impressive. TGI Fridays free meal. There's tons and tons of things like car washes. Jiffy Lube is doing free lubes. Tracy Aviary.
Oh, that's funny. Where do they find the full list of this?
If you want to go to our website, Todd and Erin, dailystream.com, I'm going to have the whole list there so that everyone can take a look. But there's a couple that I'm like, really?
Which one are you looking at? Which one are you
Go
looking
ahead
at?
and do that one.
Okay, let's do that. Red Lobster will offer a free appetizer or dessert Sunday and Monday.
After you buy a meal of at least $20.
Okay. I'm not picking on Red Lobster, but I am going to say this.
Oh, and Starbucks is offering a free small cup of coffee.
Okay, this is where it gets rough for me. Okay, so let's take it back to survivors of World War II landing in Normandy, bullets bouncing off the craft that's going to put them on the beach, and they jump off into the fire. Let's talk about Afghanistan.
Where they're wearing 300 pounds of gear and they're running around in full military things in 120 degrees and trying to liberate a group that really didn't really,
and constantly being under the threat of being shot. A small Sunday. Here's my suggestion. And even if you have to take up a collection, what you do is you get a bunch of money and you take the veteran to Christopher's Steakhouse.
You have them slap down a big old steak.
Bigger than his head.
And you just sit there and watch him eat it. Or her head.
And have at it. I don't care if you have to leave the table and stand outside and that person eats alone. I don't even care. That person should get the biggest thing on the menu.
Anything they want.
There you go.
A small free coffee. Wow, I hope that doesn't
I know you're
push you out
making
too
an
much.
effort, but...
Kinda.
Okay. Wait, they're shooting at me. I get a Sunday.
So it's almost worth it.
It's not the way it works.
All right, let's go back to positive. Number one, thank you to everybody who served. And number two, if you would like to have a little something today, we do have the list on the Todd and Erin favorite five, Todd and Erin dailystream.com. But listen, tell me something.
What's nice? This would be great if your kids would take.
Yeah, they want to take them out for a little something. Like take them down to Denny's and give them a free meal.
Exactly.
I absolutely love this. Todd and I are adoptive parents, and so this is a huge thing for us. And you see so many children who are waiting for someone to love them the way they deserve. But
you're going to cry already.
No, and I know I do this all the time. I'm so sorry. I was thinking about this the other day.
Eat a pretzel.
The Utah Adoption Exchange has been thinking and like, we've got to get smarter. We've got to get out there more. We've got to utilize social media. We've got to get these faces, because I think the minute you see a face, you connect, right? You resonate with this face of this child.
And I don't mean to be cruel, but that is the entire base of the Humane Society.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, here's Fluffy, look at the eyes. But they didn't want to put pictures of the kids out at this,
because it was
to a certain point.
Yeah, it's important because their privacy needs to be protected. But they went through the channels and they asked the kids, would you let me? Would you be comfortable? And for the children who were, they unveiled, the Utah Adoption Exchange unveiled 31 portraits of children who are available for adoption. These were created by all these amazing professional photographers who offered their services. And right now, it's called the Utah Heart Gallery, and it's up at the Utah State Capitol right now. It's going to be traveling around the state and being put up in different public buildings where people can walk by and look.
How many kids?
Right now, there's 31.
31.
And Kathy Sherrill's the director of programs, and she says these kids look like rock stars. Their portraits are amazing, and it's what like they really are. These kids have been through some hard times, but they deserve a family like everybody else. And she said, being able to look into the face of your child, and if you see your son or your daughter, if you believe, wow, this kid could be a part of my family, she said, it's so important. It's so important that you get to have that connection.
Right.
And there were also 6 portraits of children who have recently been adopted. Nicole and Ray were 2 of them, and they were there that night, and they were so cute. They were all dressed up in their Sunday clothes. And they had been talking, and Nicole had said at one point during another interview, I honestly don't think we're going to find a home. I don't think it's in the cards for us. She goes, nobody wants 2 older kids.
Ooh. How old?
And so
teens?
she was 7 at the time, and she's 13 now.
Oh.
And Wednesday evening, they celebrated their adoption with their new parents. And she had some encouragement to other kids who are waiting. She said, keep hope, things happen for a reason. But I love the fact that they get to celebrate along with the kids who are still waiting. But I think that's such a powerful message.
You're such a jerk.
I'm sorry. We have tried so hard, and every day is like
such
this now.
a jerk.
When did we turn into this? We used to be so much tougher than this.
Yeah, cynical.
But in any case,
we used to be cynical sons of a guns.
If you want to see these pictures of these gorgeous kids, you can go to the Utah Adoption Exchange website. You can see them there. You want to head down to one of the public buildings, you can see it there. But they're going to take a statewide tour so they can show these beautiful faces. But I love this concept, and there's so many kids. And if there's anything that we can offer, it's like the second you hold that child.
Don't. Or Pretzel's dead. You guys, thanks for watching the Todd and Erin daily stream.
I'm pathetic.
You're just
I know
sad.
I'm pathetic. That's the sad part.
So don't forget the veteran, him or her, young or old, big butt steak. All right, that's all I'm going to say. You guys have a great day.
I don't think I'd want a big butt steak.
Let's practice just like they should in Florida. 1, 2.